Well, we're here for the induction ceremony for Mr. Larry Castor, and I'd really like you to tell some of your involvement in his life and basically what he means to you and what he's done with you and for you.
I guess me and Larry have been friends for 50 years. And we grew up in Oak Cliff, Texas, and I went away in the 50s and went to the Far East and studied martial arts. And when I came back, Larry, a friend of mine, was studying martial arts also in the United States, and I opened up 10 schools in Dallas area, and one of the first persons I met was Larry Castor. And even though we grew up in Oak Cliff, Texas, we had always been friends, and 50 years later, I guess it's one of the most important persons in my life, and I don't know how many people you could put in one hand and say, you know, you're a friend and you'll always be a friend, and that's the reason why I'm here tonight. And to be part of Larry's induction into the Martial Art Hall of Fame. And he's been always, not only has he been great in karate, but he's been great as a person and great as a friend, which is the most important part to me.
How was he as a competitor? Did you ever compete with him or against him?
He was a great competitor. He was. I started karate and back in the early '60s, and then there was Larry. He was a great competitor in the early '60s, and then he went on to have the best competitors and the best fighters probably in the United States. So I mean, he was right up there with the best of them. Not only as a competitor, but he also taught martial arts the way it should have been taught. And I think that's part of the reason why he should have been always inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Do you think this is just way overdue, him being there?
Yeah, I think so. He has been, I'd say probably he should have been inducted probably 20 or 30 years ago. Yeah. And I don't think that, you know, he was always in favor of it, and he didn't felt like he deserved it, but we all did. We knew what kind of competitor he was and what kind of person he was, and he deserved it a long time ago.
Now, one thing I heard about him was that he never boasted about himself. It was always about his students. He loved to boast about his students.
His students.
And I guess the fruits of his labor.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And Larry didn't have to back up to anybody because he knew the art of karate. He studied the art of karate, and he taught his students that the way it should have been taught, and they are always great competitors. So when they went to any fight, whether it was here in Dallas or anywhere in the United States, they were always well prepared and the best.
So what do you think of Texas martial arts?
Oh, I've been doing it since I was 19 years old. I'm 70 now, so I'm still involved, and that's one reason why I'm here tonight, is to see the Texas martial arts grow, and so our kids and our grandkids, and we'll have something to look forward to, not only 50 years from now, like me and Castor have been friends, and Larry and Frances, his wife, my wife and Larry's wife were the most beautiful people in the world because they could put up with us for all those years.
Okay.
And so how they did that, I don't know, but maybe this will be for our grandkids and their grandkids 50 years from now.
Now, have you competed all over the world?
I fought in Japan, Korea, Thailand, China, Okinawa, Taiwan, and all over the United States.
Was there something different about fighting Texans than all those others?
Well, I tell you what, I always thought when I was in the Far East fighting that the Thai boxers were the best fighters I ever saw. They were great. And then when I opened up the 10 schools here in Texas, We went and fought all over the United States, but from fighting in the United States, we found out that the Texas fighters were the best, and everybody always came to Texas to compete in the Texas tournament.
Yeah, if you wanted to prove yourself, I guess this is the place to come.
Yeah. You had to start here.
Okay, I've asked everybody this question now about Mr. Castor. If you had to describe him in just a few words, how would you do it?
I'd have to put, I'm going to put Larry, and taken away from karate, but I'm going to put Larry and his family, Francis, and our families that's put up and lived with us for 50 years to understand how important it was to us at the time, that our wives probably didn't think so, but we went on and had great lives together, and really became to be great friends. And I don't think Larry or myself would ever have changed anything.
I've gotten this amazing picture of this gentleman I'm just getting to know as of today. I've read so much about him. I've talked to his kids about him, and it seems to be the consensus across the board that this man is one of the most loyal friends.
He is
one of the best friends that you could have.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you feel the same. Everybody seems to describe him as quite the comedian.
Well, he was. He, you know, when things got looking pretty bad sometime, he was, you know, he could always think of something pretty funny to say, and kind of bring it, when things were looking pretty bad, he could bring us down and really tell us how life was really going to be and what was going on. You know, he brought us back down to earth, you might say.
Do you think he was a better competitor or a coach?
He was, I'm going to say, as a coach. I look back at his great students that he's had, but as a competitor, I mean, I always look forward to competing against him and competing with him and just being with him. Win, lose, or draw, he was always going to be a friend of mine, whatever.
Well, Mr. Nash, it has been a pleasure, and I thank you for doing this interview.
All right. Great.
Thank you very much.